The last 16 of the Premier Sports Cup round is over and everyone wants to jump straight back into the Premiership. I think it's time we jump straight back in to some transfer news. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. It's been forgotten about over the last few days. Not a lot of transfers happening with all the Cup action. But yeah, time to once again talk about what is happening in Scottish football, who could be going where, and what are the latest big bids in the world of the Spfl. And I think we'll start with a bid, or should I say a deal that is going to happen, and that is with Polish side Korona Kielce. They have agreed a deal to sign Aberdeen centre-back Rubicic, with the 25-year-old Montenegrin international due to arrive in Poland on Monday for a medical after being deemed surplus to requirements by Don's manager Jimmy Thielen. So, Aberdeen set to get rid of Rubicic. No sign of how much this is going to bring into the club. It will either be, in my opinion, well, it's probably going to be an undisclosed fee, but I would imagine somewhere in the few hundred thousand ballpark, maybe like 300,000, 400,000. Don't think it would be any less than that, and I can't imagine it would be much more than that. But I always thought Rubicic was a decent player. So yeah, a little bit surprised that Aberdeen do not want to keep a hold of him. I think there's certainly worse players at Aberdeen. But yeah, Aberdeen looking like they're going to lose one of their key centre-backs. Now, speaking of centre-backs, Plymouth Argyle have improved their offer with an option to buy, but are still waiting for Celtic to decide on whether centre-back Stephen Welsh can join them on loan, as the Scottish champions can only have 6 players out on international loans. Now, I don't know how many they currently have. I think it might be 5, and therefore, if Celtic loan out Stephen Walsh, he would be the 6th and final player that they could loan out. But Plymouth Argyle wanting to loan Welsh for the season with the option to buy. Not quite sure how much that option would be, but I'm looking at Stephen Welsh. I just don't really think this guy has got a career at Celtic, or at least, should I say, a first-team career. He can be a bit-part player, and he can be one of the Scottish players that fits the quota for the Champions League and the European competitions 100%. But if Stephen Welsh is interested in having a first-team career and he wants to be playing regular football, he wants to be starting games, I mean, he's just not going to be doing that at Celtic. The proof's in the pudding. We have not seen this guy really ever be a starter. I don't even think he's got that high up the chain in terms of position and where he would rank at centre-backs. I mean, right now at the club, he's obviously behind Carter Vickers, and then you've got Scales and Trusty, who are ahead of him. Yeah, Celtic, I think, did get rid of the 2 players that they had at centre-back. Names are just completely evading me, but yeah, Celtic have got rid of 2 centre-backs, Lager Bielka and the other guy whose name just completely evades me. But yeah, they've also got Inamura who came in, he can play centre-back, and they got the new signing Poussey, who's come in, and he's obviously centre-back too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic take this loan, or maybe they could just create an offer and just get rid of him straight away. Never mind the loan to buy. Maybe they could just agree a deal and Plymouth could sign him outright. But then again, I don't know. Maybe due to the nationality, it's better if Celtic hold on to him. Even though he's not going to be an important player for Celtic, it might just be better for them to have another Scottish player on the books. And that could be partially why they've kept James Forrest for so long. I think if James Forrest wasn't Scottish, he probably wouldn't be at Celtic right now. I think that's a fair claim to make. And speaking of Celtic, apparently they expressed an interest in the summer over Jack Grealish before the England midfielder joined Everton on loan from Manchester City. But reports are saying that the 29-year-old was never seriously considering a move to Scotland, and this is according to The Athletic. So I'm not convinced. Jack Grealish, look, Celtic have loaned some players from England before, bought some players from England before. I remember they brought in, Patrick Roberts, seems like he had a big future. He came into Celtic. Scott Sinclair. Those were both players that at one point looked like they could be the future, or play big roles down in England, and obviously Jack Grealish is the same to that extent, but I think he had a much bigger ceiling than the other 2, and I think he has played at a higher level. Obviously he got that big, massive money move to Manchester City, and it hasn't really worked out for him, but I still think that Grealish is a step above Scottish football, and I just can't imagine. No matter how bad his form was at City, and no matter how far down the Premier League he has to drop, I don't see him coming to Scotland. I don't think that was ever a possibility. But according to the Athletic, Celtic wanted him, but yeah, for me, it was very unlikely to happen. I just don't really see that being an option. Right, Motherwell are considering an approach to bring 18-year-old midfielder Bailey Rice back to the club from rivals Rangers, according to the Daily Record. Now, this to me could make a lot of sense. Motherwell have just sold Lennon Miller. They've got a shitload of money for him. I imagine that the manager will get some of that. I don't expect him to get most of it. I don't expect him to get half of it. I don't expect him to even get, a smaller percentage of it. Like, I don't think he'll get 25%. That would still be over $1 million. I don't expect him to get £1 million on players, but I do expect him to get something. And I think maybe $500,000 could be a realistic, amount. Or I think maybe Motherwell could bring in a few players, maybe 2 or 3 players at a couple of $100,000 each. I think that is realistic between now and the end of the season. And who knows, maybe Bailey Rice could be one of those players. They'd be bringing in an 18-year-old to replace an 18-year-old, so they would be getting youth. Some people said that Bailey Rice at Motherwell, he was supposed to be someone with a higher ceiling. He was supposed to be someone who had a better prospect than Lennon Miller. So Motherwell could be looking at this thinking, right, well, you know what, we've lost Miller, but we could get back the player that we once had and the player that we once thought would be better than Miller. Now, I don't know. I never seen Bailey Rice play at Motherwell. I don't recall. If I did, I don't recall it happening. But yeah, the rumours are he was supposed to be better than Lennon Miller when they were both at Motherwell. So if that's the case, if Motherwell can get him back for a reasonable amount, hell, even if they need to pay like 500,000, if he's half as good as Miller, why the fuck wouldn't you get him back? Because if Bailey Rice goes to Motherwell, you could assume that he'll be a starter and he should play most games, and he will just improve. He will grow more as a player. If Bailey Rice sticks at Rangers and he's very rarely playing, then that's going to hamper his development. So Bailey Rice, his ability will get better. He will become a better footballer overnight just by being at Motherwell. If Lennon Miller left at 16 and he went to Rangers and he was barely getting any game time, there's not a chance Lennon Miller would have turned into the player that he is. So this could be a great deal for all three. It could be great for Motherwell, great for Bailey Rice, and great for Rangers if they want to cash in and get a little bit for Rice. Or else they can maybe start playing him, but I'm just looking at the midfielders that they brought in. I just don't think that's going to happen. It looks like Russell Martin isn't really interested in going with the youth. We've seen him bring in quite a few midfielders. I think Bailey Rice would be pretty far down the pecking order. So yeah, I just don't really see that happening. Dundee are considering a deal for Cammy McPherson, the 26-year-old midfielder who's been on trial after leaving St Johnstone this summer. I think that would be a decent signing. I think Dundee needs signings, and I expect them at this. I think that Stephen Presley will be happy to get his hands on anybody that he can, and to me that means that Cammy McPherson, if he's available and he wants to move, I think that Dundee will take it, and I think it would be a decent signing for Dundee. Not spectacular, but I think it would be decent nonetheless. And finally, Portsmouth are linked with St Johnstone forward Mackenzie Kirk after Peterborough had a $500,000 bid for the 21-year-old rejected. So Mackenzie Kirk, the son of Andy Kirk, former St Johnstone striker, former Hearts striker, $500,000. So that's a decent amount of money for St Johnstone, and they were able to turn that down. So they must believe that Kirk is a player that they can get a lot more than 500,000 for, or at least a decent amount more. I mean, how far will they push this? Are we talking 600, 750? Are we talking closer to $1 million? Not entirely sure, but for me, Mackenzie Kirk, he is a good player. I think he has been impressive to start the season. I look at St Johnstone, and they do have firepower. I think if they keep a hold of their team, they're looking like strong favourites to come straight back up from the Championship, but this could be a blow for them. If they lose Mackenzie Kirk late on in this window, then it will weaken them. And yeah, their championship claim I don't think will be as strong. But right now, guys, they've started the season really well, and they were unfortunate to go out of the Premier Sports Cup there at the weekend. But anyway, that's going to do it. Getting back soon to European midweek action. And then, of course, after that, we have the Scottish Premiership and then a couple more games. And before we know it, Scotland's going to be playing soon as well at the international level. So just the games are going to be coming thick and fast, and I can't wait, guys. Start the season, it's great. Got all the cup games. European games, start of the season, international games popping up. It's all happening, and yeah, hopefully we get some big more transfers through the doors at some big Scottish clubs. So that's it. Catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.